what's that?
It's also the control of unconscious motor movements, the total.
Yes, yes. It's the unconscious ability to make adjustments, okay? But it's the conscious part as well, you're absolutely right. It requires postural control, postural mechanisms, normal tone, and selective motor motion and coordination. So, this is the stuff that while you're sitting there in your chair and your butt gets tired, you do that. You shift around. You don't fall out of your chair. Some children are not good at that. Some children will fall out of it. Won't they? Seriously. Look. Sitting right there, and then poof, they're out on the floor. You're like, what happened? Okay? All right. We got issues with postural control. All right? So, these are automatic and voluntary motions that provide mobility and stability. I have to have what? I have to have a base of stability before I can get mobility, right? Think back to when we were laying on the floor and writing our names on the underside of that piece of paper, the paper on the underside of the table.
Yeah.
Okay? I had no proximal support. So my handwriting looked like what? Right? Okay, all right. So, what do we have to have? Integration of primitive reflexes. Oh, darn it, there are those things again. Okay? I need to have muscle tone, postural tone, writing and equilibrium reactions, protective extension, and selective motion. Have we even talked about that stuff?
No. Just kidding.
Okay? All right, this is why we beat this stuff to death last semester. I got to have this stuff integrated to be able to move. Okay? Okay. So postural tone is what? Tone is what? Let's do that first. Tone is your your readiness to move. Is that how Tara gave it to y'all? Okay, all right. So I've got to have that in my head, neck, and trunk to be able to even sit. I've got to have my center of gravity in my pelvis, and I've got that anterior pelvic tilt, and I have to have control over that, because if I don't have control over this, am I going to be able to move over? Because as soon as I move over, what's going to happen? I'm falling out of my chair, right? Okay. Has to be high enough to move against gravity, but low enough for volitional motion. Okay? Because this is talking about if they're too floppy, what? Can't move against gravity, and if it's too high, they can't move. Yeah, they're locked up and they can't move. Allows for proximal stability with distal mobility. Normal means coactivation of trunk and proximal muscles, move against gravity and resistance, be able to maintain a passively placed limb. There's an equal amount of resistance between the agonist and the antagonist. You can shift from stability to mobility as needed. The ability to use the muscles in a group or selectively, and there's a slight resistance to passive motion. Okay? This is what we're talking about. You know, when I tell you, okay, go limp, just go dead, we can do it, right? You just can't let it go, all right? Can you shift from stability to mobility? Sure. Okay, stand up. Hopefully. We'll eventually get there, right? Okay. All right. So, abnormal tone. If it's hypotonic, it means it is floppy, it is low tone. Okay? Typically, this is a lower motor neuron lesion. What does that mean? It's peripheral. Brain and spinal cord is upper motor. Okay, peripheral nerve injury, cerebellar disease, which cerebellum does what? It's coordination, yes. Frontal lobe damage. Our frontal lobe does what again? Personality, executive functions, is the coordinator, is the symphony conductor, right? Okay, so when that gets out of whack, the motor control can get out of whack because he doesn't know how to coordinate all that. In the initial shock phase of a spinal cord injury, you will also see flaccid muscles. All right? They can't move against gravity. Bless you. Deep tendon reflexes are diminished or absent. Where is our most common deep tendon reflex? Yeah. Your knee jerk reflex? Okay. That is a deep tendon reflex. I think we've talked about that. You see the doctor come in with a hammer, he says, I'm gonna check your reflexes, and you're like, I'm holding still, he can't make me move. He hits your little knee, and what happens? Right? Okay. So, and you have other ones, but your knee is the most common one. You have another one here at your bicep that you can check, and we'll learn to check that when we're working with our stroke patients, because you will see that is a sign of recovery. Okay? So, if they're hypotonic, their reflexes are going to be either diminished or absent. Okay? Hypertonic means they have high tone. There is an increased resistance to stretch. It is an upper motor neuron lesion. Upper motor neurons are what? Brain and cord, right? Okay. So you're going to see things like these type of injuries. You're going to see higher tone issues, multiple sclerosis, strokes, spinal cord injuries, brain tumors, head injuries. Yes.
So if we're trying to get somebody out of bed and they're hypertonic, how are we gonna, like, some suggestions?
That is where those things that we're going to be talking about, how to increase and decrease tone, okay? And one of the things that we talked about last semester, you talking about rotation helps decrease tone. So one of the things that I would do if somebody's really high tone, I am going to turn their upper body first. No, I probably wouldn't. I'll probably turn their lower body first from their pelvis to try to decrease and break up this whole entire trunk, okay? So I would rotate that over, and I may start doing some rotational stuff with the knees, just back and forth, kind of loosen that up, so that when I went to rolling, I could try to work on segmental stuff versus doing it as a log. Excellent question. They're going to have increased deep tendon reflexes. Look, Niecy's bringing us a present. Thanks, baby. I'm just going to pass this around. If you would be so kind as to fill it out, it's just a, you're not going to yell at me for having this on videotape. Okay, and there is clonus. You may know what clonus is? You most commonly will see it in spinal cord injury patients, and you'll see it in knees and ankles, where, and what I'm getting ready to show you, y'all will probably have seen, I'm going to do it here, so, the legs bounce like this.
Thank you.
Okay. All you gotta do for that is do weight bearing through that, put everything on stretch, and it will stop you. We'll talk about that. But clonus is, if you count it by beats, you'll see it sometimes in the wrist. It is a sign of increased tone, and what you do is you do a quick stretch if you want to increase tone, and you'll see it's gonna make it. Okay?
So what is it, for my notes, what is it really defined as, clonus? A form of
What's the tremor response?
Yeah, you can kind of call it spasms, I guess, kind of, sorta. It's a response to a quick stretch where the, that's a good one to try to word. Do you have it there, Perry? I mean, everybody would be so kind as to pass that forward after you sign it.
Yes.
Just a muscle response to a quick stretch, increase tone. Yeah.
Thank you.
John, I can't tell you what it is. Thank you. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all doing this for me.
Well, we appreciate you making it optional.
Did you find it?
Quick repetitive alternate contraction of the agonist and antagonist muscles.
Yeah. Let's say.
Quick repetitive alternate contraction of the agonist and antagonist muscles.